Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Confessions of a Reluctant Entrepreneur. If you don't know me, my name is Andrea. I am a writer, ghostwriter, author, and writing coach. Although, again, I like to say writing coach a little loosely because I also like to kind of get my hands in there and do some editing as well. So it's more of a co-write with a ghost. Anyway, how is everyone today? All you great people watching right now, which is no one. I'm here today to talk about mindset, affirmations, actions, and some of the things that work for me. So I think I started researching the kind of coaching industry, self-help, motivation, when I started writing about 2 years ago. I found that that was the area I wanted to write in, and that was my ideal client. So I thought I'd start researching that. Obviously, the side effect of it is that it also helped me as well. But I found over the last 2 years of trying to implement some of the things that some of the bigger coaches talk about, some things work for me and some things don't. So one that doesn't is I know some people, and again, I am not that successful Tony Robbins person, but that 5 a.m. wake up with, a couple hours of journaling, affirmations, yoga, whatever at the crack of dawn, and going to bed 8 hours prior to that, meaning your bedtime is like 9 o'clock. That doesn't work for my life. I would actually never, ever see my partner if that were the case. So I don't do that. I journal as I want to and as I have something that comes up for me to work on. I don't think that that's laziness, and I don't personally thrive in that sort of structure, feeling that I have to do things a certain way all the time. And in terms of my journaling, I've actually journaled my whole life. So it's a practice that is something I'm already doing. So I haven't really changed it that much. I did try to, at first, do the sort of everyday journaling. But when it became this thing that I had to do, then it lost some of its authenticity. I love grabbing my journal in the moment at any time of the day and just writing as I want to, and as I have something that needs to come up. So yeah, that's my take on that. I'm more of a kind of 7:30, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. girl. So that's me. And I find I thrive on that. Also, another thing I find is that I'm super, super productive first thing in the morning. So get my coffee, sit down. Sometimes I shower, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I get that productivity going first thing in the morning before I actually get ready, because it's like I wake up and I'm like, oh, okay, I can do this and this and this. And with being a writer and a creative writer, I need to follow those instincts rather than stifling them and imposing some sort of limited view of my schedule and myself, that I have to use that time to, journal out my stuff. Some days I have done that and it's worked to journal, do my journaling and my mindset work in the morning, but then sometimes it's not. And it's actually ended up stifling my workflow for the day, which ultimately is not productive and is not good. It won't help me grow my business in any way. So I think you just have to follow what works best for you. And it's great for Tony Robbins, and other people it may not be best for you. Or I'm saying Tony Robbins, I don't really know. Whoever, I'm using a name, a recognizable name. But again, I know some people follow the habits of successful people. Do I consider myself successful? Interesting question, because I actually pulled some cards today on this idea of attracting my ideal client and how to attract my ideal client. And then the idea that came up of success and how you view success and what it is. But maybe I'll come back to that later and talk about it. So the next thing was affirmations. And I've always been interested, or not always, but prior to my career shift, I actually went to a conference to hear Norman Doidge speak. And he speaks on neuroplasticity. And I find it really fascinating that our brain can, in fact, fire and rewire at any age. Yes, of course, the developmental stages. I really should have got myself water. Oops, my glass is empty. Yes, the developmental stages are obviously more developmental. But as we age, we can still train our brain to think in new ways. It's not stuck. I think of it like, where did I see this image and it really worked? I like to reference people who give me this image, but sometimes they just stick, and I'm going to share it anyway. It's the idea of clearing a path, a cleared path in a forest. Like when you're going on a hike, it's easy to take the path that you can walk through. And when you've created a habit that you've done for years and years and years and years, then that path is easy to walk through. It's easy to just take and turn down that thought path. But if you're trying to create a new path and a new thought pattern, it takes work, and you have to do it over and over and over again for that habit to stick. And that's why two things, it's funny for me when people say, you want to quit. I quit meat myself, 15 years ago. And a friend put it to me this way. She said, if you really crave chicken wings one night, you're just starting out, and have the wings if you want to have the wings. But the next day, it doesn't mean you're a meat eater again. You can still just make a choice that day to not eat meat, and then again the next day and the next day. She's like, and then on the fourth day, if you have some meat, that's fine, just keep. And then I found that way really, really worked, because there were certain meats that I really did enjoy. And so but not beating myself up when I sort of failed on that helped me to create that new habit. And over time, the failing or the eating meat became less and less and less. And, it would come to a couple of months and I'd be faced with that choice. Should I have those wings? God, they smell so good. Or bacon in the morning. Wow, those were my two. I don't know why. I know people say those are the best meats, but the smells, it was really about the smells. And I would think, no, now it's been 2 months. Okay, good. And I'm going to keep going and keep going and keep going. But then again, 3 months later, if I failed and had a little bit of meat, I just got back up, and it wasn't ever, I just found that to be the easiest thing. So same goes for changing a habit, changing the way your head thinks about it, is that, what was it? Sorry, I got distracted by a text. Tyson, draw stuff. I should turn my phone over. I've learned this lesson a few times now. Learning lessons again and again. Comes back to habits. So what I was saying is that yes, it's going to be hard to take that path down, but you will do it, and you will do it again and again and again. And some days you'll end up taking the easier path back down that old habit, but then always come back. And so with this thinking, I thought, well, I'll try writing out affirmations in the way that someone writes out lines. And I thought I'll write them over and over and over and over and over and over again. And as I do that, I will try to think on them and embed them and really just take those words in. But the problem is that for me, writing that thing over and over and over again doesn't actually mean I'm thinking about it. I mean, I'm sure on some level it's going in and it's forming that new thought pathway. But I have this ability, I'm sure a lot of people do, it's called multitasking. I can be doing one thing and be thinking about 5 other things. So it's catching myself in those thoughts as I'm writing it over and over again. But the problem is that if I was, say, having a tired day, or worried about all the work I had to do, or stressed about not having enough clients, or thinking about what my next steps were, how I wanted to grow, my thoughts would inevitably always veer off onto something else. So what I've started, I tried it for a while. I actually was doing that for about a year when I was writing out affirmations. I did try writing them consistently, at least say like 20 times an affirmation, or I would pick like 10 and just write them throughout as I wanted to. Keep in mind, I've not read any books exactly on, say, affirmations. So this is just my experience. And so what I started to do this year was take one affirmation. I've been working on my money mindset, financial blocks, and that sort of thing. And so, say the funny one, I love money and money loves me. I actually took that affirmation, wrote it out once, and then went through and proved it true, wrote about where I was still blocked there and believing that. And then I also started to create action items that would prove it true for future so that I would continue to grow in that way. I found this way so far has been a more beneficial practice for me. And I know there are some other things that people do, like changing affirmations to suit you. And Deborah Hay, I think maybe that's her name. Yeah. But I like the idea of including actions, clear actions that I'm going to take based on that thought process. So for me, one of the things with money is that I have never taken the time to really understand it. And people think, oh, it's easy. You get money, you pay for something, comes back. But I think that in understanding it, I mean, really finding a way to organize it in my life. What roles does it play in my life? How can I use it to really give me more freedom rather than just use it as a tool for purchasing, say, something that I want. So ongoing work there, still very much ongoing. I have a very loose budget for the months going forward in terms of my income anyhow, because I found before I was just doing that thing where like, okay, I have this amount of clients, I'm kind of full, I can't do much more work. But I wasn't taking into account how much I was actually bringing in at that time and leaving myself stuck some months if the work didn't flow as fast as I needed it to. Because often if the client isn't getting back to me or they need to stop because it is very much a working relationship, then I don't continue to get paid, right? Get paid for the work done. There's a deposit, but yeah. So in understanding that money, I now realize some of the mistakes I made in terms of my billing structure with clients. So that has definitely changed. And then also looking at the amount of work I was offering for the amount of money I was being paid. Now, when you're just starting out, I get it. You're going to charge a lesser amount because, I mean, that's only fair. You don't have the same experience as someone who's been doing it for 5 years. So you're going to charge less. You get what you pay for, right? So yeah, mindset, affirmations, actions. It's always good to review your mindset and work on your mindset and see where your mindset is stopping you, holding you back, leaving you in that waiting place in Dr. Seuss's book, leaving you stuck in old thinking and old habits. And then how you can use actually affirmations and journaling to create new thought pathways in your brain. And then from there, creating actions based on those new thought ways to solidify the thought ways and the thought pathways and move you forward. So that's what works for me. And yeah, that is where I'm at. And so I wanted to share today the questions I asked my cards were, how do I actually just attract my ideal client my way? I've been really working on getting better within the online space. I spent a lot of time yesterday in a group. I posted a question. It's a very large group. It's a large group I've participated in a lot. If you know me, you know which one it is. And I really just wanted to figure out if my ideal client is there. And what I learned is that there might be a few, but really not. So if I want to continue to engage in that group, it will be more for my learning and my benefit and my research and my knowledge rather than finding a client there. So understanding my intention when I go into the group is really important for me to, I guess, figure out its value for me, and figure out the value I can give back, and just for it to be a good use of time and energy and not a waste of time. I talked about that in my last live, how posting to Facebook I find difficult because I feel like it's a waste of time, especially when I should be doing other things, especially writing. So I'm working through that idea because I think if I can find a way to post authentically on social media outlets, it won't feel like so much work, and then I'll be able to move forward with finding my ideal clients online. But so the question that I asked the cards today was, how do I get my ideal clients to just flow easily to me? And the cards that I use are, the answer is simple. The first card I pulled is how to approach the problem or the situation, and it is turn on the light. The second card is how to lift your vibration. Look forward. And the last card I pulled is what I'm missing, and it is let go and go with the flow. These cards, I have to tell you, are super, super appropriate once I got reading them and applying them to myself and my situation. So turning on the lights, it's just that your spirit it shows you the good in what you're doing, whereas your ego is all about lack and worry and all the things that are not happening for you. So I really do need to just focus on the awesome that is now. All the work that I have, I mean, it's 3 o'clock. I've been working straight since 7:30 this morning. There's a lot of work here. There's a lot of goodness. And just knowing that there's safety in that. So moving forward into lifting my vibration, which is looking forward, you can see, or I can see, shine a light on the things that I'm doing now that will push forward and be bigger and help me reach my goals in the future. And then the last card I pulled for that, let go and flow, is what I'm missing. I do. Sometimes I want to control it. And I think, okay, I want to fix this thing, or I need to do this thing now. And if I'm going to achieve it, then I need to do it. And I'm going to do it right now. So let go and flow is amazing, and it's actually what got me to come on here today too, which I feel was a very successful live. So thank you to those of you that hopped in. It was super nice to see you here, and stay tuned for the next Confessions of a Reluctant Entrepreneur, with which I am going with the flow and relaxing and letting it happen as I feel inspired. Have a really great day, everyone, and I will talk to you soon.